Okay, good afternoon. And here we are. This is this is November 28th, Thanksgiving Day, 2013. And we have my mom. I'm the narrator here. My name is Mike, and uh, I'm the son of Theresa, who's in the middle, and then we have Nicole and Regan Lieser on either side. Up from Texas this weekend for Thanksgiving to have an interview here. We're going to do a little bit of an interview, something different. But first of all, let's introduce you to our studio audience. We have for our studio audience, hold it, we have some no-shows. We've got some no-shows. Hold it, hold it. Oh, wait a minute. Sean Rand is our studio audience and our witness to this interview. Glad you can make it up, Sean.
Glad to be here.
All right. Sean of some sorts. Okay. All right. So we are going to have fun. This is time for us to have a little bit of fun, to relax, and for us to be ourselves. And we thought, wouldn't it be nice and interesting to be able to ask my mom some questions about her life. And just this is so let me see. I think at this point here we are just going to turn it over to who wants to go first with the question. We can keep it conversational. We can have follow-ups to those questions or whatever. So Reagan, would you care to go first?
Sure. Yep. Okay, so kind of compiled a list here of some things that I thought would be kind of interesting to find out, Sean, a member of our studio audience, helped me compile this list, as well as Nicole, my lovely sister. So let's get started. Okay, so now I am 29 years old. I was born in 1984, so that didn't give me much of an opportunity to spend time with my grandpa, right? And so I just, have a couple questions about you and Grandpa. One of them being, if you can recall to mind, I want to know one of the craziest things that you and Grandpa have done together. Something wild, something crazy, something fun. A good memory that when you think about it, it makes you smile.
Gee, Michael, you know my better than I do. I don't know what's
Okay.
crazy. Something bit crazy.
Yeah,
Something
something like kind of wild Grandma, wild Theresa in her wild days. You two young in love. This could be pre-Dennis even. This could be before any of the kids.
I really don't think we did. Never nothing crazy.
Okay, then just something that makes you smile when you think about.
Okay, let me think about it. Oh, I think I should have thought about it. You just told me that yesterday. I could have thought about it last night.
Okay.
Crazy and fun.
Or just one of your
There
best
is
memories.
something. I know that there is something. I can't think of it right now.
Okay. So, Mom, maybe I can prompt a little bit. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a probing question there. So when you think back about Grandpa, if you could describe the kind of guy that he was, how would you describe him?
Oh, I think he was a good husband. I don't know. He was pretty strict, I would say. He didn't get by with everything. Michael knows about that.
Mm-hmm.
Was he a teaser?
Yeah, that runs a little bit in the Lieser family too.
I knew it. I kind of had a feeling about that.
Yeah, well, teaser, but not that serious about, like you said, a squirrel or something like that. But yeah.
Would
Go
you
look
say,
out of the window, there's a rabbit over there, and there's April Fool or stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
Then they take the pie away from you or from the kids, so they're eating something, and after all they come back and look at it, it's gone. And he hide it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, stuff like that, yeah, he was kind of, yeah.
He was a joker.
He was always having fun, he loved to dance and sing, play cards, go in companies, smart off. I know smart off, but I shouldn't say that. But yeah, he liked that fun.
How did you guys meet? Do you remember the first time?
Not the first time, but the year he had the first in St. Martin dance hall. And then the old folks, they played cards in the basement, and the young folks, they danced. So that's where I think we met for the first time.
And you guys danced?
Pardon?
Did you guys dance together?
Mm-hmm. No, not right after that, but yeah, we got. So I don't know how long we went together before he got married. That I don't remember either no more.
What year did you
Over a year.
What year did you get married?
1942 or 1941. In August.
Alrighty.
August 11th.
How about your honeymoon? What did you do for your honeymoon?
What's that?
What did you do for your honeymoon?
Oh, honeymoon. We went to Idaho. My Roman sister, their nuns, 3 of them. We visited them. We were gone 2 weeks. And then the 2 weeks we were gone, then my brother got married. He came back, there was a wedding at home again for my brother Leonard got married. September the 2nd then. So there was a lot of relatives down there in Washington, Idaho. But they're almost all gone now. So we canned peaches and we canned pears and took them home. And not one glass was spoiled, the sauce and everything. Peaches, jelly, and then they made it for me, so I took it. Had to buy the jars anyway, so fill it up with sauce and jelly. So peaches were delicious. You never seen peaches around here. We picked them from the tree. The
Juicy.
Yeah, juicy. I know I picked them off of the floor, but I said leave them lay. But it was so nice, so they had to go through waste. Yeah. Yeah, they were nice. We had a lot of wedding gifts we got from the neighbors up there, friends.
And then once you guys got married and started popping them out, having a bunch of kids, what are some of the things that you guys did as parents for your children to raise them the way that you did?
Oh, never, nothing specific, nothing really out of the ordinary. I mean, we didn't have the money like they have nowadays. The young kids, they grow up with money now. We had to earn every dollar we got. And that's why it's hard for you to see how it's going in this world now compared when we grew up. But we were more satisfied, I think, what they are now.
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, so a typical day, all the kids would get up and do what? Do a bunch of chores?
Oh yeah, they all had to do their own. Mike always said, man, Roman didn't sleep maybe for a couple all night long. The next morning was rainy. They thought they don't have to do nothing, but everybody had their job to do. All 6 of them. There's nothing else. They had to hold the thistles underneath the fence or sweep the cobwebs off of the barn, stuff like that. And they didn't like that so much, did you, Mike? That was not necessary, you thought, maybe. But he made them something to do. They did not sit around and do nothing. He always had to work for them.
And what did the girls do?
Oh, girls, that was later on. That was the last. The girls were last. And I know, they didn't get by with everything either. Like I said about Annette said that when she missed school. I told you about that. She missed school, and then he got a telephone call. Rome was on the school board, and he said, Annette isn't here. Well, Rome said, you're supposed to be in school. Wait till she gets home. She comes home, he said to Annette, I sure thought you know better than that. Yeah, Dad, he said, it wasn't my system, I had to let it out. Then Roman got the giggles, and he couldn't go no more. He couldn't. But she always got by with it. She knew what to say.
She could kind of get her way a little bit.
Yeah.
But
she was a lot of fun with that, Annette. She thought too that.
So what you're saying is the girls got by with more than the boys did, so they were able to get by with more stuff. Is that what I hear you saying, Mom?
That's what I think so.
Okay. Just want to get that on a record. Want to get that on a record in case Jolene and Annette ever listen to this.
Just in case.
Yeah.
I understand. So having 9 kids, how was it one of those things where it was just like another boy, another boy, another boy, and you just wanted to keep going until you had a girl?
Yep. I wanted a girl the first time, and then I had one. I want two, but that was enough then, hon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you spent a good long time of your life pregnant.
I know. Yeah. Oh yeah. You figured out one time, you and Steve, what it was, and how many years, and that many old, and that many years.
Well, there were 9 of us children, and I think the year span from youngest to oldest is 18 years. So that's an average of 1 child every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
So if you kind of round off, 9 months, just the idea that you're even from 9, so that's
but then
quite
you
a.
see, the oldest ones he could help, and the younger ones help along with the chores and washing. We didn't have no waterworks or nothing. Now would be nothing to wash the diapers in a toilet and flush it away. This way, everything real water you had to get it yourself, and then a couple of times change, and then it's all together different, easier now. Nothing to it.
It was all cloth diapers back then?
Back then.
Yep, every day the diapers wash it. I wash every day the diapers, yeah.
And so then,
We had cloth diapers. We didn't have those other ones, throwaways.
Sure.
And it still should be now, yet they'd be trained much easier if they use real cloth diapers, I think. This way they wet, they don't feel it, and it's going to get sore a little bit.
Mhm.
That's what I think.
so then when some of the younger kids would get older, would then they take
They
help?
They helped.
Okay.
Terry helped a lot in the house. She cooked, make beds from scratch. Terry could. Yeah, he was my helper in the house.
Mhm. So back then, also, what was childbirth like?
Oh, I don't know. Well, the first was always the toughest, but after a while, it don't last forever. If it's over with, you're so happy though.
Mhm.
Did you go to the hospital, or did a doctor come to you?
Yeah,
to the hospital?
I was, in the hospital, every one of them,
Can you recall one child that gave you a little more trouble during childbirth than another?
No.
Everything is pretty smooth and healthy.
Yeah, but everything was,
Mhm.
Okay, well, when you look back on your life, if you could sum it up, if you could give one word that describes it, one word that comes to mind, what would it be?
One word was when to talk to the kids or what?
No, just when you think of your life. Just one word.
I was happy. I had a nice marriage, I think. Yeah.
What would be your advice in finding somebody that you want to marry?
Pray a lot. You get the right one. It means a lot. Like Celine and Annette, I told them, don't look for a boyfriend in a bar, because the drinking, I hate that drinking. So I told him, don't go look for your boyfriends in a bar. I didn't look this, but David did. David found Karen in the bar the first time.
That's a little ironic. That's a little bit like you wouldn't think, because Karen's like a...
Well, Karen is that type too, that she don't. But she was there with her friend, I guess, with Barb Johnson that time. I remember that. Yeah.
You don't find... And then what's the key to making a marriage work for that many years?
Communication is a lot. You tell each other what's going to happen, what you did, and stuff like that. That's one thing Dennis said. He was always, and Rosie, I never see any couple like them. They tell each other everything.
Like honest.
Like Doris and Steve. No, see, Doris is a nurse. She can't say nothing about her work. She can't say nothing.
Or Jolene and Alan, he can't really say anything about his work.
Alan and Jolene, same thing. And Jolene said, I'm not even interested to know what is going on. She said, maybe sometimes it's dangerous. But he's going to go. But I think he's about ready to retire, too. He's getting pretty good. But since he's still married, he's still got the same job.
And what about outside of marriage, if there's some good words of wisdom for just living life and to be happy like you were happy and you've been happy?
Well, I would say prayers. I believe in prayers. That's what I think. Yeah. And Mike knows that too, I think. They all know. And There must be a reason that we were so lucky with everything. Not one of them died in at farm work and accidents and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And they were all healthy when they were born and never had trouble with any of the kids. There's sometimes in the family one is backwards a little bit, you know.
Mhm.
Hear that a lot. Most families have one or two, like Cyril Munder and Malcolm Laverne. You know, they were a little bit different, but I feel sorry for those kids. Like Laverne, that time we give her a deck of cards. I almost cried for how happy she was. I kept it. I told you I give one to Laverne, and she was so happy. And she had it always in her hand to squeeze. She said, "I think about you every time I play cards," she said.
Mom, speaking of happiness, what would you say is your greatest source of happiness in your life? When you think about
louder, I can hear you.
when you think about happiness, what's been the greatest source of happiness in your life? What are the times and what are the things that makes you most happy, you think,
More
that brings the
happy.
most joy?
I always like make people happy. If I can see them, I make them happy. It makes me happy. Like working in a nursing home, sometimes in coffee break, you go polish their fingernails or comb their hair or just anything to them. They're so appreciated. It makes my, at the end of the day, I felt happy about it. That's the truth.
Okay. So just to clarify, I know you retired. I'm just going to recap here a little bit for the audience. That you were born in the year of 1919, and in Farming, Minnesota. You grew up on a farm. You got married in 1941. So by my math, that is 22 years old. You were married, and then from there, you lived the next years of your life until 1970. So you went from 1941 through 70, 29 years of your life at the farm.
Place. Yeah.
And so 1970 is when you moved into town here. So you were a housewife, a farm wife through all those years. And then after that, you moved to town. And rather than just retire and sit around, what did you do?
I worked at the manor.
Do you remember how many years that
10
you did?
years.
What is the manner?
That's an old folks' home, nursing home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify because you said making those people happy and getting out of the house was something that.
I worked a part-time, but I was always full-time. Yeah, I never, and then I didn't want to work in after the school. All the school kids may like the job, so I thought let them work and I can go again after school starts again. I started in again, a couple of months off, summertime.
Okay.
Okay, Grandma, tell us something, anything that we may not know about you. Maybe a hobby that you used to do, or type of music you listen to, or maybe just anything we don't know.
Well, I was busy having babies one after another. You didn't do much else. But
That was your hobby, huh?
Yeah.
That was your hobby?
No, I had no time for anything else hardly. No.
Cards. Cards have been
Well,
big.
with the neighbor, with my sisters and Nicole and George Mayer. And once in a while in the evening, we went over there and played cards for a couple hours.
Did you
But no fancy work and stuff like that.
no dancing?
No.
Were you a dancer? Did you like to go dance with Grandpa or anything?
Yeah, in the evening sometimes went to dances, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But not that often. But you were always pregnant, and then, you know, you were pregnant, you had to take care of the babies.
But there were some times I recall that you got off the farm. If I remember, you would get together a night of bowling at some
Bowling,
point.
oh, yeah,
Was
I
that a
did
hobby of yours?
But that was fun.
Okay.
Every Monday night, I think it was bowling night. With
Okay.
Caroline and Arcella. Which
Okay.
Was, yeah, my sister-in-laws.
All right.
Yeah, that
And-
was fun too. But I didn't sit at home and do nothing. I was always on
Okay.
the go somewhere.
And another activity that I remember is you were on the church choir in Lake Henry.
On a choir, yeah.
You know how many years you did that?
Oh, no, I don't know exactly how many years. I was in a choir at farming too, before I got married. And then at Lake Henry, I was in a choir. But Painesville, they asked me to, but I didn't want to go. No.
Okay.
Oh, this year, the grandchildren always came in, like you now, look at my list. He said, what are those, Mark? I said, those are angel kisses. And what's this here then? I said, Mississippi River. Yeah, they laugh about it now, but yeah.
So, one thing that I admire talking to you even now, and especially over the recent years, is you remember a lot, and you have a very sharp mind, and you're very on top of it, and not a lot of people your age have that going for them. And I was just wondering if there's something that you've done that you think helps your mind stay that
I
sharp.
really don't think it'd be busy or what. I don't know why. Well, I never smoked and I never drank, and
That might
I
have
worked
something
hard
to
all
do.
your life, washing diapers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the years go by so fast. Oh my goodness. Even now yet here, I think it's Saturday, there's another way Saturday.
Mhm.
So let's talk about that. You just had a birthday here recently.
Yep.
How old are you?
Pardon?
How old are you?
94.
94.
Yeah, 1 month past already. I'm on 1 month.
94 in 1 month.
So this is the year 2013. You just were 94. And as I just indicated, 1970 is when you moved to the house.
Yeah.
Okay. My dad, your husband, passed away in 1989. So I'm going to just try to do the math. How many years you were in that house? You had retired in 1970 and you moved out in 2012. So that would be, by my math, 42 years you lived in that house.
Yeah, it was longer in town than at the farm.
Yeah, 42 years. Very good. Very good. Mom, I've got a question for you. There were some of your sons that you're more proud of than others, right? And there's some of them that maybe you're not as proud as others. I mean, is that a fair statement, or is that?
No, your turn.
No. I'm going to ask a question here. Sorry, Steve. Steve just happened to come in. He's another member of our studio audience. And anyway, I do have a question for you, Mom. If you were to think and look back in your life, what was the most difficult thing you had to go through? What was the most challenging time or times in your life?
What I didn't like or what I liked?
No, what you didn't like. What was the most difficult, the hardest thing you had to go through?
Oh, maybe it was the time when I had to go fishing in Canada.
Okay.
I stayed home with the kids always. And that's twice a year. And I didn't like that so well.
Okay.
I said, what would you have done if I packed my suitcase and let him take care of the kids for a couple of months and I go away for a couple of days?
Okay.
That's what I didn't like that so well. After a while I got used to it.
Okay.
He did it anyway, so.
Okay. All right. Any other difficult times in your life when you think of the hardest things that you've had to endure?
I'm thinking what?
Emotionally.
Stevie, help me out.
Times where you've had to pray a whole lot. Like times where you just felt kind of
You need help, huh?
you needed help.
Oh. Holly's accident was a little hard that time, I remember.
Mm-hmm. And what about Terry and
Terry
Dennis?
was sick. I had a lot of times he stayed overnight there when they got one couple from Painesville. I know what his last name is no more. Then I drove with him to the cities. And then he had to do something. He worked in the cities for a couple of days. And then he came back. I went back with him again. So I stayed a couple of days with Terry always. And then he was so sick a lot of times so bad that, that's no fun going in there.
So you've lived through a time where you've had to endure losing two sons to cancer and a husband to cancer.
Yeah, Terry was hard for me. He was dying and he went to bed. He didn't eat nothing, his medicine, and then Barb came to me. She said, Grandma, she said, Terry's acting funny. And I said, I woken up, and he was dying then, I suppose. And he was fighting his way in bed, throw stuff away. And then I said, come on, Terry. I said, Mom is here. And he was so relaxed. And then he died right there. So he died in my arms.
Looking back, was that one of the toughest things? Do you
Yeah,
think so?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Roman died real peacefully. He didn't hardly know he was gone. Dennis, we didn't find out nothing about till it was over with.
Grandpa was it in his sleep, or
Pardon?
did he die in his sleep?
No, he was, sleeping all the time in a coma. Then at the end, his sister was there. He knew the pulse and everything was going to end. So,
And you're a little more prepared for that than when
yeah,
Dennis.
yeah. I asked him, Father Shiro was at our house one time. He wanted to know how Terry died. I told him what I told you now.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, I said, what does that mean? Or the devil or trying to get a hold of you the last hour of your death. And then I said, what does that mean? They don't call it that way anymore. They call it the black hour. They call it the black hour. I never heard that before. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
So then I said to him, the black hour, what does that mean? And he said, it's the same thing like, and that's why we pray the Hail Mary. The now and at the hour, see the 1 hour is you pray every day Hail Mary, you always mean, and it's always, the words with it, if you think about the prayer, it always mean more to it. I just rattle it off and then you don't know what it means.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it means then, now
the
and
hour.
at the hour, yeah.
Because that hour before you go,
Yeah.
the devil tries to take
Yeah,
your soul.
yeah, no, like that. They don't call it the devil, they call it the black hour.
Okay.
So Terry, I know he was, when I came had in my arm, he was different.
Mm-hmm.
He was relaxed. And he said, nobody should be alone when they die. That's what Father Charles said. You should never be alone when you die.
Mm-hmm.
You get a crucifix, you have a rosary or something like that in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So what about, do you have a question to go off of that?
No, go ahead.
On the other side of things, looking back, what is some of your more proud moments? What are you most proud of in your life?
Oh, I did my family. I think.
Mm-hmm.
No alcoholic in the family. That is something to be thankful for, I think. The opportunity they had with that car kid, the car being pulled up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is something to be thankful
It was definitely a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
That's
Yeah.
a spoiled life for everybody, I think, more
Yeah,
for the family and the parents especially. There's a lot of worries for having a family. It's not having a babies and be one with it.
Okay, and who would you say that your favorite grandchild is?
There is no
I'm just
favorite.
kidding.
They're all
I'm
the
just
same.
kidding.
They're all the same. Yeah, they're especially now you two are.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed
Like
to
right
say.
now,
That's
huh?
what I thought you meant.
Stevie's kids are close to me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
And you know why?
Mm.
It's because Doris has to work Sundays and the kids came to my place always for Easter and Mother's Day. You took the kids to my house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was the key, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So-
they're nice to me now too yet, so.
That is nice. Mm-hmm. So so tell us a little bit about these two knuckleheads. What's
These two.
going on with these two
Well,
knuckleheads?
they were at the end
Sean
of
and
the
Mike.
boys' home, but they're the oldest ones. Then it's Vernon, Terry, Jimmy,
Mm-hmm.
then those David, then those two.
Mm-hmm.
They're the two babies.
They're the
Boys,
babies.
baby boys.
But then you got to Steve, the seventh one. I mean, were you thinking like this is almost hopeless?
The youngest in the
You must have been thinking this is almost hopeless, but you just figured you'd try one more time, huh?
No, it wasn't so bad. No. No.
Can you think of any stories? Any stories of their mischievousness or?
Gee, maybe you know something maybe of that. I can't remember.
Yeah, Mike was kind of a, with his hair years ago. Not Mom, didn't you have a little episode with his hair years ago? He had that long hair. Dad told
Oh,
him.
Mike. You don't want to hear about that.
Well, why
Oh,
not?
but we did.
Yeah, but the
he had
girls
that
want to hear about
long
it.
hair. There was style the one year, that long hair. And
The Beatles kind of.
yeah, and that take the picture for in the yearbook or the school yearbook. Roman said, I couldn't give him a haircut. That wasn't like I'd give haircuts to all of them, but I couldn't get him. He wanted a long one. He wanted always not cut it, not too short, not too short. And then Roman said, you get dressed. We go to take you to the barber or to the haircut in uptown. You get your haircut. He had to get dressed. He didn't want it, but he anyway. He had to go there. And that's why he started cutting the hair. The barber did, but he wanted anyway. Not what Roman told him to, but what he said. And Roman shut the door and went out. Remember yet?
Sure. Sure.
He was a little bit of a rebel.
Well, the deal on that was, if the truth be known of that, I was like breaking new ground in the 60s when just the hairstyles were turning. The Beatles came into
Yeah.
vogue in the 60s,
It didn't last
and
that
I
long.
had to be the groundbreaker. I had to be the trendsetter, and it was difficult for people to accept the fact that here's somebody who's going to step out a little bit. And so, anyway, I got quite a bit of flack on that. But you know, so did Thomas Edison. So did Tom Jefferson and Einstein. These are all people who were just
He's comparing himself
breaking.
Albert Einstein and Edison.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And
Just
then
ate.
there's Mike Leaser.
There's
We
my-
just ate. We just ate.
Mom, I have a question for you on a more serious note. You mentioned prayer several times. Maybe you can talk a little bit how, when you were growing up, and maybe even the role of prayer in your childhood life and what your parents were like a little
Talk
bit.
more louder. I can't hardly hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that and just say, when you were growing up, let's talk about the role of prayer in your family, in your household, and what your parents and your mom,
Yeah.
how they instilled that in you, or
Oh, yeah.
just talk a
Yeah.
little bit about your family life growing up.
Oh,
What it
yeah.
was like to
Mom
grow
was a
up.
prayer. We had to pray during Lent. We had to pray the rosary on the knees. We didn't sit down halfway. We got kneeled up. That's right. And then, what else can I say about? Oh, every night my night prayers. I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. Everybody know that by heart. It was a short one, but they did rattle it down. Everybody one by one. Let's go to bed. You remember? Oh, you do one. Yeah, I expect you remember, but you were not with that. My family. That. Yeah, everybody had to say, and then they had to go to bed. They said, "Praise be." What is it in German? Look on all sides from Elizabeth and Evie. Blessed be now and forever or something. When Mom and Dad said, "Man," and then the holy water taken me behind the cross.
Every night? Every
Holy
night?
water, every night, yeah. We use a lot of holy water. And now here, the 1 pint lasts me a whole year. You have no place to put it, holy water. It dries out in here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then my mom walked to church every morning, not as long as the weather was maybe not when it was cold, to go to church every weekdays. And Sunday afternoons, vespers, we had to go to instructions.
So you said she walked every morning. I'm going to guess that
It's
that
about a mile.
was
It's about a mile.
about a mile from your house in the town.
Almost.
So she would walk there every
Yeah,
morning
we
for
walked
Mass
always, yeah.
during the weekday
And one
mornings.
time we had sheep there, and the buck was in there, and went after her. She didn't know what to do. She was always around the tree. So we had the girls had to come and rescue her, get the book one after somebody else, and her mom, you know. Yeah.
Hmm. She was very prayerful, though, huh? Your mom.
Oh yeah, my mom was. Yeah, the mom and dad both. They were close to church there. Yeah.
So she set a pretty good example for you about prayers. And
We all grew up the same way. The same thing like the Nicole and Regan family. It's the same way. You have 3 nuns in the family. I have 2 sisters who are nuns.
Did you ever think that you were gonna become a nun?
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't want to be a nun. I like dancing. I like to do my dancing. I love that dancing.
Yeah. That's a good
So-
reason.
what kind of person was your dad?
What kind of person? What?
Was your dad, if you're to describe your dad to somebody?
Yeah, he didn't. Well, he was always pretty big. He didn't get around much. He was the boys always there too. They did the work for him. Then chores, milking and stuff.
So you don't remember him working that hard? Which one of your sisters was your best friend?
You know, Martha.
Okay. Martha?
Yeah, I think so. We were close together too.
In age?
So we were a year and a half apart, I guess.
And your parents liked Grandpa when you brought him home?
Pardon?
Your parents liked Grandpa immediately?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. For sure there were some nuns in the family that helped her really right away, I think. Come from good background, you know.
So you had Martha, and then you had
Emma
Emma,
and Barbie. And then the 2 oldest sisters, Wilburga and Sister Angela.
So,
We were 6 boys and 6 girls in the family.
oh my gosh, I didn't know that. 6 boys and 6 girls. So this baby making thing is runs in the family.
Yeah. Well, all good is all you hear about. You never heard about birth control. You never heard
but
about
the way
that.
she said it.
Even now, even in the later years, you never heard about it.
So what about some events in history? How were you affected by, say, the Great Depression? How old were you when that was
I
going on?
don't remember much about the
No.
Depression. It was around, and before I grew up. I was around that time I grew up, but I didn't. That we suffered on something? No. We always had enough. We were in a farm. We always had enough to eat.
What about the wars, as far as, were people getting sent off to war?
Oh,
World War?
well, our boys never went to war. They went to the reserves and stuff for 6 months, and there was really no fighting going on when our boys went. I don't think so.
That was
I
kind
don't
of the
think they
end of
were in
Vietnam.
Reserve for 6 months in reserve, yeah. And Myrna was for 3 years that he enlisted in the army, so but there was no war going on much then, no. Yeah, that must be hard to do, leaving them. You never know if you come back or not.
Right.
I think that would be really hard.
And you
And
mentioned,
they all went to Army Reserve except Stevie.
yeah, he got out of it.
Yeah, they cut that out right whenever.
And I think that makes you a man out of you too. I mean, you learn to get up and obey. You got to obey everything. You got to make the bed perfect, and it's orderly. I mean, you learn to obey. I think if you don't, or not,
Right.
Mike.
Yes. Yes.
So you mentioned always being able to have enough to eat because you were there on the farm. What was the most delicious crop that you had?
Crop.
Yeah, like the most. What did you like to eat that you guys grew?
Oh, in the garden stuff. Everything was in the garden. Potatoes and peas and beans and carrots and all that stuff. Strawberries. We had our own. Yeah, it was a lot to pick strawberries. Do it regularly. It was always a chore, but it was worth it though, I think. It was a short time they were there. in the garden, so. Laura's got a nice garden always too. She's good.
I got to eat some
Yeah,
of hers
she's
last
got,
night.
yeah.
So I don't want to limit it to just Reagan and Nicole asking questions. Steve, well, you just been kind of sitting there not saying too much. Do you have a question for Grandma, or I mean, I'm just wondering if you have something to ask.
If I have something to ask.
Yeah, ask Mom after all these years.
Well, I remember, nothing to ask about, but I remember growing up, I remember the comment she told me, you say your prayer before you go to bed. Even if you're too tired to say your prayers, just do the sign of the cross. That kind of stuck to me. And I still do that.
Yeah, they
I
were
do it through my
prayerful
day.
people, those Leisers, they were really,
And, if you're too tired to pray at night before you go to bed, just do the sign of the
Yeah.
cross before you go to bed.
yeah.
And as far as question, Mike, I can't right off the
Okay.
top of my head, I can't think, but if we sit here long enough, maybe I'll think of something.
Okay, if something comes to you, just like let us know, So you can just go back to kind of like doing what you were doing before, which is not very much. Just go ahead and go ahead and relax. Sean, Rand, now here it is. This is the first time where you've met my mom this weekend. Any questions from you? Don't feel like you have to come up with something. Anything that you're wondering?
How did you get so cute?
Oh, that's one of the best questions. That's one of the best questions.
What is that?
How did you get so cute? Aww.
And you asked about Roman, he put down the rules, he meant by it, he stick to it too. You guys didn't get by with it, a lot of stuff.
No.
And Dennis too, yeah.
Sean, you mentioned how cute she is, but I'm going to tell you what. As a young lady, as to see some of Mom's young pictures, she was very good looking. You're cute now, okay? Don't get me wrong. But when you,
You don't have to rub it in like
no,
that.
well, no, but it's a compliment, Mom. Anybody who looks at your picture, I've got a picture of you, your wedding picture. You were, you Dingman sisters were some really good-looking ladies. Yeah, and anyway, proud to have a good-looking mom like you. And anyway, so just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah.
So, at the end
Anyway.
of the story now?
Well, I think we can begin to wrap it up here pretty soon. Is there any other closing thoughts by
It's after
anybody?
4, I pretty soon have to go down for supper already.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Any closing thoughts or comments or questions?
I just want to say I love our family up here in Minnesota.
It's so nice to hear that.
You and Grandpa started, the family that we have up here is absolutely amazing as far as the love that everyone shows. Even I was talking to Sean last night, and he just liked how everyone is just so genuinely nice, and just there's something about coming up here and the feeling that you only feel to this special little part of the world. And it's all of our cousins and all the aunts and uncles, and I love their playful nature and their loving nature, and everyone just knows how to have a good time, and I really think that I just want to thank you for the life that you led and the way that you have
How they
raised
turned
my
out.
dad, and
Because it's all kind of like a reflection of you and Grandpa.
Like I said, prayer is the number one key. That's what I think. What do you think, Steve?
Can't argue that.
And it's crazy because, so how even Lynn coming up to us to give us a hug, see how the water starts coming from the face. And it happens to you too. And that's something that I appreciate about everybody too. It's just you can see the emotion in that love that everybody shares for one another. And I think that's an amazing thing. Not a lot of families have that.
and with the Liesers, we aren't afraid to get emotional. You know, it's something that maybe a lot of people don't like to show, but we, I think that's
And
very
you just
special.
can't help it. You can't
Yeah.
just help
Yeah.
it.
And it's special. A lot of people in the world don't have what we have.
Love,
Yeah, the
family
love.
number one, yeah.
And being able to show it, and being able to say it, and it's just, I mean, even on my mom's, it's not like this. This is so special. The time that I come up here is so special. The time I reflect about my childhood and the time I spent up here, it's irreplaceable, and
Yeah.
it's all because of you and Grandpa.
Good.
And that value that you guys had in your family with your children, I feel like I've seen it happen in all of the uncles and my dad, and the way that they put the value there in their families.
And you'll keep that too.
And I'm
keeping
keeping
it.
Yes.
Yep.
So we're very appreciative of that. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Grandma.
I love you too. Nice.
Love you.
Yeah.
And if I could I just follow up with one question, Mom? Because you've mentioned prayer several times, okay? And I've
Maybe I
mentioned,
shouldn't have.
no, it's wonderful. No, it's wonderful. It's important in your life. Obviously,
Yeah,
it is.
It is.
I've told you how an impression it made on me, and you and Dad prayed a lot. Can you can you talk about the different times when you would pray? Can you talk about the different times when you would pray?
Beside what you mean, pray for what?
Well, you prayed together as a couple.
yeah,
I guess
yeah.
that's what I want to say.
Every night in bed before you go to sleep, yeah. And always before and after meals. And during Lent we pray the rosary. And with a shrine outside to May and October month.
Hmm.
And
As
you
a
guys
family.
rather play ball, but Roma made you pray the rosary first. Remember? You thought the rosary took again as long, and you have to wait for the to play ball after that.
Hmm.
But you just live it through.
You bet. You bet.
And you had said the other day about it's important to pray, but then also to be thankful.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. You have to be thankful. You ask for something, promise, or you pray for something, and if you get it, you should say thank you, don't just as much as you prayed for something. Yeah. I always think so.
And what a good theme on the day of Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Love you guys.
Lovely.
All right. And with that, I think we can close it down. I just want to say thank you to first of all, the studio audience. Sean Rand, glad you could make it. Steve, thank you for your contributions to this interview. And
Because come from the heart, not just it.
yeah. I would like to thank my brother Steve. But Nicole, thank you for your questions. And thank you, Regan, for your questions and for your comments. And both of your questions and comments were excellent. Mom, this is a great time. Thank you for being such a good sport about it, Mom. This is something that is kind of different for you.
There's no lie. I said everything's
From the heart.
comes, yeah.
Comes from the heart. Well, we all love you, Mom, and that comes from the heart.
Thank
God
you so
bless
much.
you.
Thank you. That's the end of the story now, right?
That's it.
It's the end of the